This film is taken inside Nui Dat and marks my return to Vietnam in September 1970 to command the 1st Australian Reinforcement Unit at Nui Dat. I'd previously been a rifle company commander in 6 RAR, the 6th Battalion of the Royal Australian Regiment, from June 1966 to June 1967 in Nui Dat, so I knew the area generally. And it was quite a revelation to see how the base had developed into almost a small town since my time there previously. In this movie, we start by seeing the entrance to the reinforcement unit and take a drive through it. Going south here, the main part of the reinforcement unit's on the right. On the left of the road is the rear of the position of the 3rd of the 3 infantry battalions in Nui Dat at the time. In this case, it was 8 RAR. The reinforcement unit, as I said, is now coming up on the right. I tried to clear it all up, get rid of all the scrub and put some paint on things to make it look a little bit civilised. Bit of an overkill in some respects, but it did help us move around at night without using lights. And spruce the place up a bit with some green paint and white stripes, and there weren't any stones to paint, unfortunately, otherwise they'd have probably been painted as well. On the right there is our cricket pitch and landing zone, which I had cleared and bribed the engineers with lots of beer to put in a concrete cricket pitch for us. Coming to the end of the position, the enemy are out straight ahead, and we'll go around to the right into the reinforcement unit through the transport lines and the headquarters. As you can see, we painted the huts green and put a white stripe or a couple of white stripes around them so they could be seen at night. And not only that, but they looked a bit flash in the daytime, so we didn't feel as if we were living in a slum. The unit headquarters. Lots of drainage ditches everywhere with little bridges over them. And that's a bridge going from the command post across a couple of watercourses. And the command post is underground with the entrance here. This has been very, very well built and made it a lot more comfortable for the people having to operate there. To start with, it was a bit cooler than being on the surface. And across there is my tent, which was rather a large one, but that's the way it was when I got there, so I didn't change it. And it had a refrigerator in it that I barely used, and a bed, and that was about it. Looking out there are the tents of the diggers. When I got there, all this area was pretty much covered in scrub, so we cleared all that to make the whole place look a little more civilised. We're now going down a road parallel to the one we originally came up. So this one's going north on the opposite side of that cricket pitch and landing zone. And the diggers' tents were all in the rubber to the left, so that there was a bit of shade. I noticed some goalposts there as well. All the tents were well and truly sandbagged, because you never know what might happen. I think this was the troops' canteen. And here we are, we come out onto that original road that we were on. So we'd gone around in a circuit with this film, heading back towards the gates that we'd come in at the start. Some of the everyday activities going on around the unit. We were on the perimeter facing south. So we had duties for standing patrols and other security duties to the south. And after the 3rd Battalion of the 3, 8 RAR, left, we also had a much bigger perimeter to our east. Here we're heading off, probably down to Vung Tau. Some of these films, I must explain, are out of order. I carefully numbered them before I gave them to the person who charged me a fortune to take them off 9mm and put them onto videotape. I carefully numbered them, but they ended up not being in order on the videotape. So that's the way they are, I'm afraid. So sometimes I'm not sure where I'm going or why. I probably did at the time, hopefully. This is on Route 2, and the engineers are, the Royal Australian Engineers are busy repairing all the roads that we used all the time because of the amount of traffic we generated. They shortly would have totally broken up and been impassable. All these areas were prone to attack by the Viet Cong, but unless you were going to sort of lock yourself up and never go anywhere, really you just sort of took a chance. Here is in the capital of the province, Phuoc Tuy province, the capital city of Ba Ria, between the task force base and Vung Tau, and it had this dog leg in the road. I think all road planners or town planners seem to want to put a dog leg in the road to make it difficult for traffic for some reason. This one certainly did, especially when we got rid of our small Australian trucks and adopted some sensible big American ones. Took us a while to become equipped with proper equipment to fight in this war, purchased from or begged, borrowed and stolen from the Americans. I'd been through the same exercise when I was in the first of the Australian battalions to go to Malaya in 1955, when we had to be totally re-equipped and rearmed by the British Army. Here, with some of my staff, I'm visiting a house of one of our Vietnamese interpreters in the suburbs of Bin Ba. We went there ostensibly for a cup of tea in the afternoon, but it seems that some beer seems to have been produced. One of my officers, can't remember his name unfortunately, and so there we were having afternoon drinks in the middle of Bin Ba, hoping the Viet Cong wouldn't disturb us. One did sort of have a certain cavalier attitude to the war in those days. Otherwise we'd have gone mad. Pity my film taking wasn't a bit better, but never mind. The kids always were attracted to the soldiers, who always had my driver, a great guy, lives at Wollongong now, and I can't just immediately remember his name. Taking photos as well. Probably the local Viet Cong come to check us out. Maybe just the local villagers. This was one of the problems. It was impossible to tell who was who unless they happened to be actually carrying a rifle and ammunition at the time. These guys have probably put their rifles down up the road to have a look and see what's going on. Honour amongst thieves, perhaps. In some ways, I doubt it. We survived that. We're back on the road, probably going back home to Nui Dat. I'm sure there must have been a more serious reason for us visiting that house in Bin Ba, Baria, than having afternoon tea, but what it was I can't remember. The locals were very much pleased to have the roads improved because they were greatly restricted in their trading with other towns and villages by the fact that the roads had fallen into disrepair. Not only that, but there were Viet Cong tax points along the way where they were invariably asked to pay a tax as they went through. As we managed to get control of more and more of the province radiating out from Nui Dat, the villagers were much more able to get on with life and be less put upon by the Viet Cong. By the time we left the province in 1971, in a year from when these, or 18 months from when these photos were being taken, the province had really returned to being free of enemy and doing a great deal of business, and the villagers were able to interconnect with each other, and it was great. But of course, the minute we left, the Viet Cong came down from the hills with their North Vietnamese masters and was all done for.